In the last lesson, we discussed depth, which, as you remember, the depth is the nothing of the receiver. Like we spoke about, there's the ayin of the mashpia, the nothing of the giver, of the teacher. That's how the teacher or the giver, when we're talking about in levels of the worlds, it's how the upper nullifies itself, and it removes all of its greatness, or in the case of a teacher, all of his knowledge, to be able to give over to what the receiver can receive, is able to receive. So, for example, like we used the allegory of Albert Einstein. If he's teaching a child, he's going to have to remove all of his great knowledge and be able to give over just the what this child can handle. Same thing in the worlds we have, where the upper world, the light of the upper world is too great for the lower world. So when it gives over to a lower world, there has to be a lessening of that light and giving over just what the receiver needs. And then there is the nothing of the receiver, that the receiver, right, like this, like a student, has to nullify himself. He has to have humility and just focus on what the teacher's saying and remove himself from everything else, in order to properly receive from the teacher. Or in the case of the worlds, the same thing, where the lower world needs to humble itself, needs to nullify itself in order to receive from the world higher than it. So the nothing of the receiver, that is called depth. And now we'll discuss the depth of Chachma. So that's in general what depth is. So now let's apply that to, we said that each thing, Chachma and Bina, right, the Chachma, Bina, and Das all have a depth, right, which is the ayin, the nothingness, the no self-nullification of itself. So now let's understand how that's applied. Let's now apply it to Chachma. And through this we can understand the depth of Chachma. Ki hine, for behold, afal pi shebechinas ha-Chachma hi bechinas ha-mashpia legabi habina. Even though the Chachma, like we said, what's the Chachma? The Chachma is the essence of the self, right? And whereas the Bina is just the letters that spread out from that, the letters of explanation. So the Bina is not the essence of the self, right? It's not the beauty of the building; it's the explanation of the beauty of the building, right? So even though the Chachma is considered like a nothing, even though it's a giver to the Bina, right? Because without the beauty of the building itself, you don't have an explanation of the beauty. So the Chachma is a giver to the Bina. Mikol makim hu bechinas mekabel legabi lemayla min achachma nikra maskil. But it is a receiver from what's higher than itself, which is called maskil. Now we're going to talk about what the maskil is. The hine, and just by the way, like we said before, we said that the Chachma is called a nothing compared to the Bina, right? Because Bina is all the widening out of explanations and words and letters, right? Whereas Chachma is just the idea, boom, as it is itself. So it's like a nothing compared to the Bina. But we also know, like we said before, that it says Chachma mi'ayin timotze, that the Chachma comes out of nothing. But it doesn't come out of nothing. That implies it itself is not nothing, because to what's higher than itself, it's a something. Vehine, so it comes out from the maskil. Vehine kayach hamaskil. What the kayach hamaskil? The power of maskil. What is it? Hu hasheira bilachluchis haruchnius shebemeach. It dwells in the spiritual moisture shebemeach hasosum, in the hidden brain. Shelemayla mikrumim hamakifin, that is higher than the membranes that surround the Gimel Meichin Chabad, to the three brains of Chabad in the head. Avol b'meach hayomin hagoloi. However, in the right brain, in the revealed right brain, Sheira meach ha-Chachma. That's where Chachma resides. Shehu kayach lekabel shefa mikeach hamaskel ruchnis, which the Chachma is the ability to receive to receive what's being given over by the power of maskil, by the spiritual power of maskil. And we know actually it's now not back about when the Mitteler Rebbe was writing this. I don't know how much if science was talking about this yet, but we know now we talk about people who are right-brained versus people who are left-brained, right? Because the right brain is the Chachma brain, the left brain is the Bina brain. So Bina is what, like we said, is the letters and explanations. And we know that somebody with a left-brained has an organized, we're talking about somebody who has the information organized and the explanations organized. Whereas somebody who's right-brained is more intuitive, right? They have the flash of the Chachma, right? They're like idea people, right? Who have who get inspired with things, right? That's right-brained people, because that's what Chachma is the inspiration of ideas coming from the maskil, which is essentially the idea generator, which is higher than the intellect. And in the maskil, the ideas, there's an infinite amount of ideas over there. Any idea for any possible thing that could ever come down into an idea is in this power of maskil. So the aval me'ach hayom min hagoloi, but in the right brain, which is the revealed right brain, sheira me'ach hachachma, that is where the chachma brain resides. Shehu kayach lekabel shefa, which is the ability to receive. Meshefa means like an outcome, is something that's coming out of. Mikeach hamaskel ruchni, from this maskil power, the spiritual maskil power. V'hashefa mikeach hamaskel haruchni, and this giving over from the spiritual power of maskil, l'teich me'ach hachachma, into this brain of chachma, into the right brain. Nimshach is drawn down kebarak, like a lightning. V'hu inyan havrakas haseichel, and this is the idea of the lighting up of the like the flashing of the intellect. Shehu inyan reishis gilui haseichel b'mayach, that this is the idea of the first revelation of an intellect into the mind, right? It's like aha, right? When you have an idea, aha, had an idea, boom, that flash, that flash of getting the idea, that is the flash of Chachma receiving from this power of maskil, from the idea generator, from the infinite idea generator. V'zeh nikra Yud de Chachma. This is called the Yud of Chachma, right? Which Yud actually means, like, as in the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, as in Hashem's name, right? Which we know that Hashem's name, everything is created by the Creator, which is Yud Ke Vav Ke, and He creates it through His name. So the Chachma is called this flash is called the Yud of Chachma. Masha enkein shefa zeis kasher hoyse klula bekeach hamaskil nikra pele ve'alif kemeshi is boy. Whereas when this power, when this outflow is still included in the power of maskil, in this infinite idea generator, it's called there pele and alif, like is going to be explained later. We're not going to get into that in detail now, as that will be explained better later. But all we need to know for now, basically, is that you have the Chachma, like we said before, right? And the Chachma receives from the Kayach HaMaskil, from this infinite idea generator, which is a spiritual thing. It's above the brain. It's not in the brain, and where it flashes, when the Chachma flashes into the brain. That's the initial flash of an idea in the mind. That's where an idea enters the mind. So that is called the flash of Chachma. And how does this happen? Like we said before, it happens through Eimik, which means the nothingness, like the nothingness of the receiver to the giver. So it happens through what? Through the nothingness of the Chachma It's self-nullification to the koyach hamaskil, to the power of ideas. That's above the intellect. And there has to be a contraction of the light, koyach hamaskil haruchni, of this spiritual power of ideas, of thought. Liyis shehu koyach hiyuli, because it is a power of hiyuli. Hiyuli means it is a power that has any possibility. There isn't just an idea in there. In fact, like we'll learn later about a hiyuli, the ideas aren't even in there in the form of a whole bunch of specific ideas. It's just an infinite possibility for any idea to come out. Now, obviously, if that infinite flow goes into your brain, my guess is it would probably not be very healthy. So the power of maskil, right? This idea generator, there has to be a contraction. It has to be a removal of self, just like Einstein had to do for his theoretic grandson, that he has to remove all of his knowledge and just bring down what is able to be received by the receiver. 1 + 1 = 2. So the same thing is that there has to be a removal of all the infinite thoughts and ideas that are in this power of ideas, this power of thought, the koyach hamaskil, in order so that there can come down a specific idea into the brain. Otherwise, it's not usable by the brain. The brain can't handle it. Because it is a power of infinite possibilities. Lahaskil le'ein shir, to have thoughts and ideas to no end. Lochein, therefore, tzarich liyes tzimtzum, there has to be a contraction. Shehu bechinas hanochas atzmusei, that this is the idea of putting itself aside. Bechidei lahaskil seichel prati, in order to think, to have an idea, to conceptualize a specific intellect, a specific idea. V'chein becheach hachachma ashere b'meach hayamin agoli. So too in the power of Chachma, which resides in the right brain, in the revealed right brain. Muchrach liyes bittul v'shemamin, there has to be a nullification and a humility, meyashase, from its somethingness, v'hagshamase, and its materialism, its physicality, right? Because, like we said before, there's two kinds of nothingness. There has to be the nothing of the giver, that the teacher, moves himself aside in order to give over to the receiver. So that's the nothing, the ayin of the mashpia, the nothing of the giver, of the teacher. Right, that's that he removes all of his great knowledge and just brings it down to an idea that's within the capability of the student to understand. So this is also the ayin of the koyach hamaskil, right? That the koyach hamaskil, this infinite ability for thought and ideas, has to remove itself just to give one idea to the Chachma. But then you also have to have the Chachma has to also have an ayin, a nothingness, which this is the nothingness of a receiver, a student, that the student has to have a humility and place himself aside to only focus on what the teacher is giving over now. And so the same thing, the Chachma, the power of Chachma, in order to receive from this power of maskil, in order to receive from the infinite idea generator, has to have a humility, there has to have a lowliness and a humility in order to receive from the maskil. And how is this accomplished? What is this humility? Shenasa al yedei hayegia. This is done through effort. Right? That's how you put yourself aside. When your teacher's teaching something, you put in effort to understand what the teacher is saying. That's your self-nullification to the teacher. right? That I'm not focusing on anything else. I'm putting in effort to connect to what the teacher is saying, to receive something from higher than myself. V'nimtza, so it comes out, sheyesh beis bechinas ha'ayin. So there are two, like you said before, there are two levels of nothingness. The mashpia u'mekabel, that of the giver and that of the receiver. That of the teacher, putting himself aside, and that of the student, putting effort to receive. Or like we said in the Chachma, there's the moving aside of the infiniteness of the power of maskil, of the right, and there's the effort put in by the Chachma to receive from the maskil. But the main thing, like we said before, is the nothingness of the receiver. Right, like we said by a student, that the only reason the teacher is teaching this is so that it should be received by the student. That's the whole intent is for it to be received by the student. Shehu habitul shebekeach hachachma, that this is the nullification in the power of Chachma. Sheme'eder memela ha'ayin de mashpia, that automatically awakens the nothingness of the mashpia, of the teacher. Right, when a student wants to learn, it awakens the desire of the teacher to put all of his knowledge aside and teach. That this is the placing aside of self of the power of maskil to place itself aside from its infiniteness and give over one single idea into the Chachma. Vidal, and this is enough to understand. Vehine. And behold, bechinas bitul zeh shebekeach hachachma, this self-nullification in the power of Chachma, nikra oimik hachachma, this is called the depth of Chachma. Right, like we said, that what's depth? Depth is a nothing that connects. So this nullification of the Chachma to receive from the infinite, from the maskil, from the infinite idea generator, this is called the depth of Chachma. She'enei mimohus ha'chachma klal, that it is not Chachma, it is not from the existence of Chachma at all. Just like if you remember, the corner connects the one wall and the other wall, but it's actually not part of either corner. So just so, the nothing of the Chachma is not part of the essence of the Chachma itself. Rak hu ha'mechaber kayach ha'maskil, rather, it is just a connector, like a corner, a connector that connects the power of maskil to bring it into a revelation, to be drawn in a flow into Chachma, a flow of an idea or a concept into Chachma. Shehu bechinas barak hamavri kanal, which this is that flash, that the flash of lightning of the idea into the brain. Aha, I got it. V'zeh ha'oimik nikra keser de Chachma, and this depth of Chachma is also called keser of Chachma, is also called the crown of Chachma. So when we talk about the sphere of keser, of crown, what we're talking about is this depth. Is the depth, which is the nullification to receive from the upper level. V'yuvim b'teisefes biur alpi moshel gashmi mimayonis. We can understand this better from an allegory of, from a physical allegory of springs, right? A spring of water. Hanoivim ba'aretz, which flow in the ground. Sheyesh bahem beis bechines, that there are two aspects of a spring. O echad, the first one, Gilui hanevia mikadur haaretz, the revelation of the flow from the ball of the how do you call it, the sphere of the earth. Lachut, to the outside, right? Meaning when the spring comes out of the ground. Shenikra Mayon Goli. This is called a revealed spring. Veha base. And the second level of a wellspring is Gidei Haaretz, the veins inside of the earth. The Ara Chalchuli Mechalchela, like it says in Chagiga. Actually, I think it actually has the Ara Kula Chalchuli Mechalchela there, but that that it's all Kula means all, but the land is full of hollow channels. Shezehu bechinas mayan sasum. That this is the hidden level of the spring. Shehu is skalalus hamayan b'mekede. That this is the inclusion of the spring in its source. Shehu hatahim. That this is like the abyss, the depth. Ki hatahim hu makir ruchni. That the tahim, the depth, is the spiritual source, Hashayra, which dwells behelim, hiddenly, ba'evi kadur haaretz, in the thickness of the sphere of the earth. V'chulu. V'hinei hagidim halolu. So these veins, kol masha matchilim ba'emek yesir bekadur haaretz. These veins, the deeper down they go into the sphere of the earth, Shahu Eimek Rishon Shalahem, that this is the first depth of them. Yesed Nigla Taikif Hanevia B'Mayin Agoli. So it's revealed stronger the flow in the actual revealed spring. So the deeper down that these veins go, the stronger will be the flow of the spring when it reveals itself on the surface of the earth. And it also comes out more alive water. That's cleaner from all like pieces and sand, etc., etc. It's from all kinds of contaminants. So this is the allegory is the spring, that the spring has the revealed spring, how it comes out, right? And then there's the hidden spring, which is the veins that go down. And however stronger it's going to be, however deeper down these veins go, is going to be stronger, and not just stronger, but a stronger flow and clearer water flow. So v'cheinhu, and so too it is, b'keach ha-chachma, in the power of Chachma, right? Which Chachma is likened to a spring. Sheyesh by beis bechines. It has, like the spring that it's likened to, it has two aspects, right? So what are the two aspects of Chachma? Ha'alef gilui barak hamavrik is the revelation into the brain of this flash of the idea, right? So that's like the spring revealing itself on the surface of the earth. Hanikra mayan goloi, which is called the revealed spring. V'habeis, and the second aspect of Chachma, hiskalalus ze ha-seichel ha-prati, is how this seichel, how this intellect, how this idea is included, right? Is included in its source, in the maskil. Kemeishahu mitchila, the way it is in its beginning. Be'lemayla min ha-seichel, in how it is higher than intellect. Shenikra mayan sasum, which is like the hidden part of the spring. Shezen nase al yedei hayigia. Like we said before, what is the ayin of Chachma? What's the nothing of Chachma? How do you make the nullification of the Chachma? Is through effort, right? So through effort, the veins reach into the koyach hamaskil, reach into the source into the idea generator, into the source of ideas, the spiritual source of ideas. That through the effort of the vessels of the mind, we affect in the power of thought, in this spiritual power of thought, in the maskil, in this idea generator. That it should be a source and a root for the flowing out of the Chachma, of the actual idea into the brain. V'lochein, and therefore, kol masha habitul b'kli hameach, all that the nullification of the vessels of the mind, who b'teikef yesed, is stronger. Which, how do you do that? Sheba mitzad hayegia b'yeser, meaning through more effort, however much the effort is. Magia ba'atzmis helem keach hamaskil b'yeser, we reach more into the essence of this hidden power of thought, even more. Lases beisherish umakid lahanevia begoli, to make in the keach hamaskil, to make in this power of thought, in this infinite power of thought, a source and a root, lahanevia begoli, to the outflowing into the revealed brain of chachmes amukes urechaves, of ideas that are deeper and wider, harbe, much more, umuvurarim umenukim ma'ed, and clearer and cleaner, much more, mikol chelki atos, from any error, right? The ideas that are free of error. Al derech moshel hagidim maschilim betachtes sevi kedora aretz v'chulu v'dal, just like these veins that go down into the depth of the earth. So that's so just like you have in the spring, you have the revealed spring, right? Which is coming out onto the surface of the earth, and then you have the veins of the spring which go down into and they reach down into the spiritual source of the water in the Tahaim, in the abyss, in the depths. And the deeper down these veins reach, the stronger will be the outflow, and the cleaner will be the water of this outflow. So the same thing in Chachma, right? Which is the faculty of grasping the essence of an idea, right? That's we said Chachma is the knowledge of the essence of the thing or the concept itself. So the deeper down this Keser of Chachma goes, right? The deeper down the crown of Chachma goes, the deeper down the veins of Chachma go into the power of Maskil, into the spiritual infinite source of ideas, the stronger will be the outflow, meaning that the stronger this flash of ideas will be in the mind, and furthermore, it'll also be cleaner. It'll be ideas that are clear from error. So this is depth, right? Which we said depth is the nothingness, right? And specifically, most importantly, the nothingness of the receiver, that the receiver is nullifies itself to receive from the giver, right? The student nullifies himself to receive from from the teacher. And then we spoke about what does that mean in Chachma, that the nothingness of Chachma is that through effort, the stronger the effort, that's how far these veins will reach down into the source of ideas, in order that the flash of the idea in the mind should be the strongest as well as the cleanest and freest of error.